live from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. It's March the 27th, 2025. It's Thursday. Thank you guys for your patience. Thanks for waiting up on me. I got in late after work and was scrambling to come up with a broadcast. So if you're not watching the basketball tournament, which most people are right now, and you're spending time here tonight, thank you. So remember that this is a live broadcast and that the phone lines, they're open. But sometimes I miss those calls until I figure out how to get the ringer in my ear. So usually if you call in, you might have to call a couple times before you get my attention until I figure this out. And again, I appreciate your patience on that too. It's basically just a Google Voice line, but I for the life of me can't figure out how to get the ringer on in kill this fan. It's loud, isn't it? I can't figure out how to get the ringer on. So yeah, it's a live broadcast, meaning anything can happen. We could lose internet connection. We could get a crazy caller. It could be a nightmare. My ADD could go off. And I feel like that I'm getting that vibe. It might be one of those nights, but I kind of want to play. Man, I want to play off of what we talked about last night. And while I've been working all day today, actually, I was doing the sheetrock finishing today. And I was listening to Robert Moore. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he wrote that book, Magician Lover. What is it? It's King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And he passed away, and it's really kind of like a mysterious death, but they say that he killed himself and then killed his wife, but the forensics report doesn't say that at all. And I'd like to do a show on that one day, but he was like a super brilliant guy. And he talked a lot about this phrase that I know that you've heard me talk about before called the Axis Mundi. And so when I say that, I use it as an example of how we can create our own realities. Then when I got home, I have no idea why it was just like this weird intuitive thing. I thought about, well, what are we going to do a broadcast tonight? Because I don't have a lot of time. And something just popped in my head. Search Stephen Ash. Just look up Stephen Ash. And if you remember, if you go back in the archives, Stephen Ash was one of the first people that we had on the broadcast. And this was back when I was just really starting to talk about magic on the show. And Stephen Ash was like, he was the guy that I found that I thought, oh man, I found my Obi-Wan Kenobi, my Merlin, like this guy that was going to teach me the ways of magic. He was super high up in his order or whatever, but he never talked about it. Never. Like it didn't market it, didn't advertise it, anything like that. So to me, this guy was the epitome of like the ultimate magician. And I really looked up to him. So when I had him on the air, and if you go back to the beginning of the broadcast, like at the very beginning, you'll see an episode I did with him and he wasn't feeling too good. And I was so excited when I found him because I already read a couple of his books, like the Golden Dawn Initiate and a couple other books that he had. And anyways, long story short, not too long after that, he passed away. And I thought, and it was a really selfish thought. Like I hated that he passed away. I just met the guy and I thought, you know, when you get into something like this, like the mysteries, we all kind of want to be our own magician, so to speak. But we also like to have, it's kind of like an archetypal thing. We'd like to have a higher magician or an elder or something like that to help us along the way. And if you get into this realm, right, of magic and the occult, everybody feels that way. And I don't think it's anything other than normal. I think you're supposed to want to feel that way. And I felt that way about him. So anyways, so other than that, I hadn't had much guidance besides Liam Thomas Christopher and a couple other people, and the rest I figured out by myself. But this guy was a brilliant magician. And he wrote a lot of books, and I really thought that I read all of his books, all of them. And then I got home and I just Googled it, and come to find out there's another book out there that he wrote, and it's called Neo-Kabbalah from Golden Dawn Magic to Holographic Universe Theory. He never published it. Matter of fact, he left it on Lulu. I don't know why. He never put it out there. He never marketed it. He never talked about it. So, if we have time tonight, I'd kind of like to get into that book a little bit, but I wanted to talk to you guys first about what the Axis Mundi really is. Okay, so if you can picture this, like a single point that holds your entire world together. Okay, and I have an image. I had some images, but I don't know if I'll have time to put them up. I'll put the images up at halftime or whatever. But just picture a point that holds your entire world together, like a tree, or think of a sacred space, like a city, or even a belief, something that holds something that's sacred to you, something that holds your world together. And this is what was called the Axis Mundi. Now, if you look in Wikipedia and you look up Axis Mundi, you'll see that it's called the navel of the world, right? In astronomy, the Axis Mundi is Latin for the axis of the Earth between the celestial poles. And in a geocentric coordinate system, this is the axis of rotation of the celestial spheres. Consequently, in ancient Greece, the Axis Mundi is the axis of rotation of the planetary spheres within the classical geocentric model of the cosmos. So, if you keep studying what's going on here with this Axis Mundi thing, this is a way that you can contact the Godhead or your higher self, holy guardian angel, collective unconscious, M-band noise if you're an out-of-body traveler, whatever it is that connects you to the higher, right? So it's almost like you can create this place for yourself, or you may already have one. And so I wanted to kind of, this isn't my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right, but it's something based on my experience that I think I'm right about. Okay. So I think that it's important that you have a sacred space of your own for whatever you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. Even if you don't say you don't do out of body stuff, you don't do magic, you don't do mysticism, you don't meditate, you're just a person. I still think it's important for the right side of your mind, for the child that's in you, and to be in contact with that higher self. If you are a materialist and you believe that you only belong in the body, I still think it's important for you to have your own sacred space. And so the idea of this Axis Mundi is a single point that can hold your entire world together. Like I said, it could be a tree, a city, even a belief. So we're asking tonight, what's yours? How do you build your reality around it, especially in 2025? With as new, like there's a whole lot of new stuff coming with AI and virtual reality. I know a lot of chaos magicians that like to play with this. I'm a little bit old school, so I like to create my own sacred space. And not Robert Monroe, but William Billman talked about this even in out of body stuff, that it was important that if you're going to do your out of body work, not to do it in your bed, go to a couch or a chair or somewhere that you could consider a sacred space. And then what that does is it triggers your unconscious or your subconscious to go, okay, we're in our sacred space, and this is where we do our work. This is where we connect to whatever you want to call it. So in mythology, this is the cosmic pillar linking heaven and earth and the underworld, right? So Mount Olympus, Jerusalem's Temple Mount. But today, it's probably more or less about physical places and more about our personal anchors. This could, your sacred space could be your home. It could be your family. This is what I mean. It doesn't have to be a metaphysical, spiritual thing or anything fancy. It could be your faith. It could be your Axis Mundi, right? It could be, for some people today, just your social media bubbles or even your virtual reality space. You remember when Jim Morrison from The Doors, when he said in that movie, he goes, man, the guy was like, man, they love your music. They love I don't know what it is. It's like they're addicted to it. And what did he say? He said, it's not, what did he say? He said something like that. He said, it's not the music that they're addicted to. It's the sacrimony. It's the sacredness of it that they're addicted to it. Their own special place that they find that's sacred to them. I don't think he called it the sacrament. He said something else, though. So we'll explore like how we create our own worlds around these centers. It's a fact. I mean, I can't prove this scientifically, okay? A lot of the stuff we talk about, I can't prove it scientifically. But if you ask even a basic psychologist, they'll agree with you. Like it's important for you to have your own sacred space. So how do we create our own worlds around these centers and what that means coming in the year like 2025, which is full of tech and division and all the possibilities in the world. So if you can think of right off the top of your head, what would be what would be like an ancient place that used to connect people to the higher? Well, that would be like Stonehenge. Stonehenge would be maybe like Britain's axis, the Kaaba in Mecca, or the pyramids of Giza, right? I mean, that's obviously one. These were literal and spiritual center shaping entire cultures. So they were like the axis mundi for that culture. If you look into philosophy, there's this writer called Mircea Eliade, and he argued that these spaces is where the sacred meets the mundane, that humans, our race, need a fixed point to orient our lives around. And a lot of times, if we feel lost, you know, I've felt lost. I think a lot of times when you feel lost, like when you're like, man, I feel like I was on my path or whatever, and I just got lost. For some reason, if you can get back to that fixed point, whatever that is for you, and then start the communication with a higher self in any way, you know, do a ritual, ring a bell, say a prayer, whatever. Or if your sacred space is your home and you go to your bed and you read a book, you understand that feeling, that fixed point, and it feels so sacred to you that it feels like the rest of reality is around you. And see, the magicians understood this, and this is why it's crazy that I pulled up Stephen Ash's book, because I wanted to kind of bring this together. And when I was listening to Robert Moore's work today, he brought this phrase up, Axis Mundi, so much. And he's just a psychologist. He doesn't get super occulty or anything. He's just a young psychologist that believes in the collective unconscious and archetypes and things like that. So wherever you're doing this from, wherever your sacred place is, if you feel lost, I just want to say this really quick. If you feel like you're off the path or reality isn't going your way or you feel kind of lost, go back to that fixed point. And if you can, do something or start a communication with your higher self. What's up, Bill K? Bill K says, I don't know what connects me to the higher. April says, I tend to find sacred space within my mind. Being a Pisces, I've always escaped within. Really says, hi, Joe. Ireland is a magical place. Yeah, Ireland's definitely a magical place. Matter of fact, one of the guys from the Fellowship of Isis, one of the main guys from Ireland, was there during my initiation. My initiation was awesome. I had a Hierophant from the U.S., and the rest of the people that were there were from all over the world, and one of the guys was Irish, and he's really cool. I wanted to get him on the show, but I never did, So today's axes are kind of personal, though. It seems like our Axis Mundi today is our phone screen. No judgment here, but I mean, it could be like that place that's sacred to you. So, you know, this is my little place here, my phone screen. It could be your political ideology. It could be your favorite podcast, right? Huh? But I do think it's important if this holographic universe theory, the holographic universe theory, the theory of the Merkaba, the aura, the dodecahedron, our sphere of sensation, whatever you want to call it, the toroidal energetic fields that are around us. Most people that have done psychedelics will tell you these places are absolutely real. And a lot of super advanced out-of-body travelers will tell you that this is absolutely real. So most conscious explorers agree that the toroidal field of sensation that's around us and these energy fields are real. Now, whatever we sensationalize them and call them, that's another thing. But let's just stay at that parallel for now, right? What I'm kind of worried about, because I see how the phones are working, and I don't like to dig into fear, But if VR, if people, and they already have their own VR places. Alex Exum introduced me to this. Could our VR be like our Access Monday? I am a little worried about that, but I find more power in nature, or creating my own temple space, or finding my own like recliner or couch or whatever. So I have two. I personally have, and the reason why I don't like talking about them too much is because they're sacred to me, just like yours should be sacred to you. But I have my own personal like temple, and then I also have my own personal like space that I do out of body stuff and conscious explorations, things like that. So if you don't have one, like Bill, I would say find a place first. Find some place that's sacred to you, something. Even if you could just go to the corner of your room and meditate or close your eyes or sit there and close your eyes and just say, this is my sacred space. That could be your Access Monday. And then just start from there. You don't have to do it that way, but hopefully you get the point. So, yeah, I just think today, like, it could be someone's VR headset, and people could be like building a digital world that feels more real than the physical one. So, the thing is how do we choose our center? This is going to be personal to you. This is almost like when someone has a dream and I go to interpret it, I feel kind of, I don't feel like I'm the guy to do that because you're the one that's supposed to interpret your dreams. But we'll try it out for a minute. So how do you choose your own center or your own Access Monday? So people pick their Access Monday consciously or unconsciously. Keep that in mind. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're not even aware of what it is, the Access Monday, if you're not even aware of what it is, then you're going to unconsciously do it. And the reason why is because it's natural. It's built inside of us. It's built in us to find our own sacred space, our own little getaway, the thing that is the center of our world that keeps us in, I guess you could say, the most power that we could possibly be in while we're in this physical life. Now, if you're not aware of it, I promise you're doing it. You just don't know what it is yet. You haven't identified it. For you, it could be your bathtub. Like I said, it could be your book. It could be your phone. People get away, like I do it too. And I was asking myself today, I said, have I replaced my phone? Have I replaced my temple space with my phone? Did I really do that? Because when I interact with people and I relate to people and I'm working or doing whatever in the world, then all of a sudden I may go off and veer off or be at my place where I'm sitting or be at the desk, and next thing you know, I'm on my phone. I used to never do that. No judgment though. It's not for me to tell you. So, but you're gonna have your own Access Monday, consciously or unconsciously. So don't take that wrong when I say unconsciously. Some people get offended. I don't do anything unconsciously. I do everything consciously. I'm right. I know. And it's like, no, we all do stuff unconsciously. So it's okay. For instance, like if you don't believe in any of the stuff that we talk about, but you're religious, then more than likely your religion is your Access Monday. It could be your community. If you're a person that has, like we have a produce center here and a community garden that everybody goes to, checks out sometimes. And there's people. Some people are there every day working in that thing. I go there every now and then, but it's been here since I was a kid. But that could be someone's Access Monday. It could be your career if you're super career focused. It could be that. And these are what I mean by like people could have their own Access Monday unconsciously, their own sacred space, or even a cause. Causes can be one too if you're an activist. So in 2025, now we have all these algorithms that feed us tailored realities like TikTok or X, and these have become our access without even us noticing. So before we were proactively creating our world, right? We were tapping into the magician or empress, however you want to look at it, priestess, high priestess, I would say. You were tapping into it and you were creating your own world. 4 or 5 years later, with all the tech, and I'm super guilty of this, by the way, that I've allowed TikTok or X to become I'd just say TikTok and Instagram, basically, to become my Access Monday without me even noticing it. And why? Because these algorithms have become our realities, our worlds that we create around. All they're doing, it's just like the higher self. If you think about it, an algorithm does the same thing that the universe does. It's not really looking at what's right or wrong. It doesn't care. Not saying morality doesn't exist. It definitely does. That's a whole other show. But as far as like manifestation is concerned and creating your world, the algorithm is just like the higher self. It takes in the data that you give it. In the instance of the phones, it does it based on what we say or whatever data it's picking up. Whatever we've given it permission to take, it takes all of that and then just keeps feeding us back what it thinks we want. This is the same thing the higher self does, but the difference is it's a little more unconscious with the higher self. Like there's things that you really want in your heart. You just don't know it yet. Right? So the self-discovery thing is a lifelong process. That's what life's all about. So you think the universe is playing a sick joke on you, but later on you find out, oh, that was supposed to happen. I thought I was, whatever, but it led me to this. Yeah. That's kind of like I would say the collective algorithm. Well, TikTok and Instagram and I would say YouTube, pretty much everything is doing the same thing. So I would say be careful. Because if like saying you don't know how to connect to your higher self, or you don't know where your center of your world is or your Access Monday, and you haven't created a sacred space, or you don't know what's sacred to you, there's a high chance in 2025, there's a real high chance in 2025 that the apps are doing it for you. Right? Let's see. Ultimate Onus, your awesome channel should have a much higher subscription count. Well, it would if I made better thumbnails and better titles, put out better content. It would definitely have higher view counts. But it's hard. It's not hard for me to stay authentic and do what I do. I just like doing it this way. But thank you. I appreciate that. I think if you highlights from each show and create shorts, yeah, I probably should, but I just don't have the time to do it. You're in Quitman. That's cool. That's really cool. Can you talk about action and manifesting? Yeah, I'm kind of getting to that. Right. I'm definitely kind of getting to that. I love it. The algorithm is spiritual for sure. The personal algorithm, that is, if you're in a good place mentally. Yeah. Well, you could just start talking about things and it's going to give you feedback. And this is the same thing that happens to us with synchronicities. We'll be thinking about something, feeling something, talking about something. Our heart and our focus is on something. And if we kind of go off in a daze or we just kind of let it go, isn't that funny? Next thing you know, it pops up and, oh man, I just had deja vu. Or, oh, I was just thinking about that song and I walked into the room. It's the same thing the algorithms do. It's just like on a higher level. And also, before I get way off into ADD world, remember that everything in creation represents a higher principle of creation, even the stuff that we don't like, even the tech world, even light, right? Or the internet, ones and zeros, alpha, omega, on, off. Information comes through light. So does our life. See, we create little bitty things fractally that represent bigger, higher things. And that's us trying to understand them. That's all it is. Little mini gods creating things based on higher principles, ones and zeros. So it's not that evil. But I am concerned that I'm concerned that we're going to lose this thing with the sacred space. So we filter. So look at it like this. We look out into the world, if we're on TikTok, if we're watching the news, if we're going to work every day, all we think about is what our desires are, what we want to manifest, our goals. And so we're trying to navigate through the chaos of this world, right? And we filter our axis all the time through this chaos. And Carl Jung might say it's the self, and Nietzsche said that we might call this willpower. To me, it's all the same thing. So I'll give you an example. 2 people in 2025 see the same news. Okay? One's axis is optimism. Tech's going to save us all, right? Now that they're optimistic about tech, now that we have AI, and now that we have all this, I can focus on my creation more and let AI do all the work, like the tools and stuff. It gives me more time to focus on my creations and be more creative. That's a good thing. Probably true. The other person could be totally cynical. We're all doomed. Skynet's going to launch. The algorithms are going to take over, and then we're going to be slaves to AI. Now, same world, different realities, different accesses, different map and model of the world. Okay. So what you really got to ask is, what's the center of your world right now? Now, there's no judgment when I say those things. That person that talked about Skynet could be right. The other person they both could be right. The first part of being aware of all this is understanding polar, so that you can see the gray area between how both concepts could be right. I mean, it could really help with our creativity, but we could also become a slave to it. Okay? So what's the center of your world? That's the first thing that you need to ask yourself. Like, if you want to manifest stuff into your life, you have to really figure out, what is my Axis Mundi? What's the center of my world? Do I have a center? And if you can't identify it, then I think you should begin to create one for yourself. Like, what would you like the center of your world to be? For me, mine is conscious exploration, consciousness, right? So I understand this principle, so I use it in different modes. The idea of the Axis Mundi and the Tree of Life with magic and manifestation, but also magic and alchemy and self-transformation. Or the Axis Mundi of the idea that when I get in my sacred recliner or whatever, and I'm going to do my OBE or hypnagogic conscious exploration stuff, that's my sacred space for doing that. So I call upon this higher world to help me all the time. So I think it's important that you and I ask this every day. What's the center of our world right now? Is it a person, a place, a thing, an idea? And if you got a weird one, or one that you think that I haven't thought of, you can call in too at 501-777-5631, or you can leave this in the chat room, or your Axis Mundi in the chat. So in the 20th century, comparative mythology, the term Axis Mundi, also called the cosmic axis, world pillar, center of the world, or world tree. So magicians took this idea, and this is how they created temples for ceremony. Okay, so this has been greatly extended to refer to any mythological concept representing the connection between heaven and earth, or the higher and the lower realms. If you watch like J.R.R. Tolkien, that would be like Middle Earth, so to speak. You're here in Middle Earth. You got the lower realms and the higher realms. Or if, let's say, you were a Freemason back in the day, and you wanted to create magic, you would take a sacred egregoric thing that has let's say, a middle column or a middle pillar that connects you to the Godhead. So you're down here on earth, that middle column connects you to the Godhead. And the temple itself, if you've ever seen a Golden Dawn magic temple, which I know some of you have, the first temple actually represents, and I don't know if I can, let me see if I can do this. It actually represents here. So all the symbols that are in the Golden Dawn Temple represent where you are. You're in Malkuth. This line where you see the orange and green sphere, like where Netzach and Hod are, right in there is the veil of Paroketh, and that's the veil to the astral realm. So all of the temple, all of the stuff in the temple would create this, and this is where they would start, their banishing rituals and their middle pillar. So all these symbols would speak to the unconscious, and it would create this Axis Mundi, the center point, where they would create their worlds, but also transform the self and get in contact with the higher self through the middle pillar. That's why at the end of the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, they say, "In the column shines the sixth rayed star." That's the union between That's like the bridegroom, the union between the unconscious and the conscious, or the Godhead and the self, or whatever you want to call it. The pentagrams are represent a whole other kind of thing. I don't want to get too much into that, but this is what I mean by like Axis Mundi. So when people say, man, I can't manifest anything, you don't have to practice magic to manifest anything. Definitely helps because it's just naturally speaks to your subconscious very well. Ceremonial magic does. It just does. It really does. That's why they called it like high magic. And even people that practice low magic or kitchen witches or things like that, they understand it too. And, I knew one girl that could just create like nursery rhymes really quick and come up with these little spells, and they were cute. But when she would say them or write them on paper and how she would fold the paper it's like she kept stacking symbols on top of symbols on top of symbols. And all those symbols and things that she was doing was her Axis Mundi. It was that place where she could speak to her higher self. It's a sacred place. It's like when you're a kid using your imagination, except high magic's a little bit more advanced because you're tapping into ancient egregores and symbols and angels and stuff like that. Really says, work. I enjoy doing, not having to go to work. Yeah. Okay. That's a good one for sure. So this is what we're trying to do. Again, we're trying to filter all the chaos of life through our Axis Mundi. I wish I wish I had that song Trippy, or that song by Pink Floyd called Time. That would help. That's a kind of a good one. Yeah, might have to take a break here in a second for like 4 minutes. But when we come back, I want to get into Stephen Ash's work and then really start seeing how this works with the holographic universe and our sphere of sensation. Because everything that seems to come into our life as a coincidence isn't really a coincidence. It just seems that way. And I know you've heard that before, but wouldn't you like to understand how it all works? I know I do. And I'm not saying that I'm speaking to ultimate reality or teaching you a truth, but a lot of the stuff that I've learned that I like to talk about has been handed down through people like Stephen Ash. It's very interesting. And I could tell you this too, for a fact, it may just be me, but it's a definite fact in my life that if I feel like I'm off the path or I'm not manifesting stuff that I want or whatever, first I have to go back. There's a 99% chance that I've stopped speaking to my higher self. I've stopped conversating with it. I've probably stopped doing the ceremonies or meditations or prayers that I do every day. I've stopped going to that sacred place. For you, like I said, it could be a book. It could be your faith. It could be your work. It could be whatever. But I stopped doing that thing that felt 100% like me, and it was my sacred place, my place, that the rest of the world kind of went around and came back to. Don't get this confused with the ego, though, where, you get this high and grandized, because that can happen, too, especially once you start manifesting stuff, then you start thinking you know everything, and then your ego inflates, and then you start thinking that you're kind of above it all, and it's just your awareness is increasing. Everybody around you has the same exact potential or more or whatever. It's just only thing that's happening is you're increasing your awareness, not your I'm special and everybody else isn't. That's the ego. Remember that. All right. We'll take a 3-minute break, 4-minute break. We'll be right back. We'll get more into the holographic universe, Stephen Ash, and the Axis Mundi. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight, because I know most of everybody's watching March Madness right now, placing their bets. We'll be right back.
Sun's gone. Have you ever wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our two signs compatible? Each month, at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary DeCina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Ruth. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energy.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Yeah.
I'm just drifting.
Toward the source, waiting to attain grace. Our paths diverge, but take us to the same place. Cast skyward, weightless when the chains break. Archetypal figures that shape shift and change face. Storm the gates, hit the safe, get the cake. While dog eats dog, off a diner family dinner plate. I'm in the clouds, in the crowd, in the vision scape.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. What's up, Purple Pencils? What's up, MJ? What's up, brother? All right, so we're talking about what the Axis Mundi is. What's your Axis Mundi? What's your center world where you create your sacred space? Why is it so important? And then also, like, where are we going with this in 2025? What I think we need to be careful of, but it's just my opinion, though. That's all. It doesn't mean ultimate reality or anything like that. So, a strong axis, a strong center for us. Okay, like I said, mine is my temple space. Yours could be a book. I hope you're understanding this. We're getting this egregoric idea, though, from the Axis Mundi, from what was considered, again, the navel of the world, right? In the 20th century, that meant the cosmic axis. So we took this idea that was understood from... It's an egregore. We understood it. We always did this. We always had some sacred space, whether collectively or individually. So now we understood what this is, how we use it to contact the higher self. It's important that we have one. So create one. I'm telling you, if you don't have one, create one. Make one for yourself. Find out what it is, right? A strong axis will give you meaning. So think of like activists in 2025, how they rallied around climate change. Not saying, climate change is my thing, but you could see how that worked. Or when people rally together around equality, they make their life around this center, and you could see how their world becomes all about this thing. And this is one of the biggest keys to manifestation. And a lot of people will talk about the will. Well, that's your will. See, the will isn't like your desire. The will isn't what you want in your head. To really understand the will is first you have to understand your center. What's that thing? What is that thing that you do? Like that song, like the thing you do. That's your will. That will is what is going to manifest things into your world. That will is the thing that causes you to do action or passionate action or to focus on something. So if you become aware of what's going on, then you can really tap into it and do other things. And this is where we tap into the archetype of the magician, which is the first level of Hermeticism, theurgy, magic, right? Alchemy, and astrology, which is what? The moon, the sun, and the stars. This is the first level of transformation. To understand what the Axis Mundi is, that it's this place, this thing, and how we contact our higher self. So to give you a better idea of this, I would like to kind of talk about, I have some images here. So this image, and it'll make sense here in a minute, but this image that I'm showing is what's called the Vault of the Adepts. So they created this vault, based on the principles of the Axis Mundi, the principles of the sphere and circumambulation and the Fibonacci sequence and how things come into manifestation. And the idea, they tapped into the ancient egregoric idea that the planets are revolving around us. They aren't really around the sun, but you see what I mean? So this, what's up, Spit Habits? This was after you did magic and you went through the 4 elements and you became an adept, then you went into the vault. And the vault was another place that was an actual chamber with 7 planetary sides on each side. The altar was in the middle. And so this tapped into more egregoric energy so that you could do whatever you want. You could meditate in here. You could focus on certain energies. You could astral travel. There's all kinds of different higher adept things that you do in this vault, but we won't go there too much. That's a whole other show. So they understood this and used it and made temples out of it. It's really not that freaking scary once you start to understand it. Another magic symbol that I've talked about before, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up here, is the Rose Cross. So this symbol, this Rose Cross Layman, is really one of the best magic symbols on the planet, if you ask me. It has all 3 stages of the mysteries in here. It shows the rose, and I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit more. But I did some entire broadcast on this. The very center of that rose, in the middle of that cross, represents your axis. So you have all the elements here: earth, air, fire, water. You have all of the elements of alchemy. You have astrology. You have the paths of intelligence that correspond with the tree of life. You have everything here. You have the Hebrew alphabet, everything and what it means, the entire mystery of the tarot, the cube of space, like everything is in this symbol. And if you don't understand the symbol, it's a really cool one. And you'd have to go back in the YouTube channel. It's called the Rose Cross Layman, and I get into this whole thing. But as we've gotten better, as we've understood this and we've gotten more scientific, and you listen to people like Thomas Campbell, now we're starting to understand that, okay, this thing is real. You don't have to be a magician to start understanding a higher sphere of energy. So this center inside of us, we're born to create axes. It doesn't just have to be us. In fact, it is us. That's why when we align with anything, our will aligns with it. And therefore, our reality becomes all about that thing. So it's not the same thing as desire. This is why, when you desire something, it seems far away, because your reality is saying that it's far away. It's not in your being. This is why when you start practicing things like magic and you start manifesting things that you don't care about, that you can have, that what it's not a big thing to get to or whatever, it doesn't really mean that much to you, but it's in your reality. It's like, whoa, it just popped up instantly, like the orange ball thing that Frater Xavier did. So this is where you got to really understand the will. So, a strong axis will always give us meaning. It'll always help us manifest the things that we want in our life. Remember, it's your will. You could look at your will as your being. Just like the lover archetype of the lovers. If you've studied any of the things like archetypes or the lover, that's not something that you do. It's something that you are. It's a being. Anytime you try to do that thing, it causes problems. Same thing when you finally master magic or you go through all the elements. You do it until you become it. And then you no longer have to unless you just want to. So nowadays, though, in 2025, we can take these same principles and make it mean all kinds of things for us so that we can manifest all kinds of things for us. It's not that complicated. Although it is cool once you start looking into holographic universe theory and stuff, right? And today people are creating their own realities and they're not even aware of it. And that's the only difference. You're either aware or you're not. So if a strong axis gives us meaning, like I was saying, activist, whatever, that's the upside. It's like how we cope with a messy world, because there's wars, there's AI, there's uncertainty, there's the markets. all the stuff that's in your head. So a very strong axis will give you a sanctuary, a place to be. I, again, personally, so you understand this, I have my place. One of my Axis Mondays is this radio show, and you guys, like the Void Walkers. There's nothing, I love my son, I love my family, I love my life, but you guys are also my family to me. And you're really important to me. And through this Axis, through this show that I've been doing since like 16 or whatever, it has created things in my world. It's brought people to me. It's sent people away. It's helped me get jobs. It's helped me understand things. I've made friends. I've manifested things that I never thought I would manifest. I hope that makes sense. I know it's not super like Expelliarmus, like that kind of magic, but it's magic nonetheless, okay? So the upside is this is like how we cope with a messy world. And I would say this, and I said this to Sudi the other night, if you're thinking about creating content, like I'll support you all the way. I'll bring you on the show. We'll get everybody to go to your channel because some of you, most of you that I know are super creative. I want nothing, this is why I kind of like tech and AI and stuff, because I want nothing more than to see everybody just creating from their heart and then having abundance from it. And don't think for a second that that's not practical, because it's super practical. Did you know there were more millionaires in 2024 than ever in history, and most of them are content creators? Just people like you and me. They put their heart into the subjects that they wanted to talk about the most, and they found their tribe, they found their friends. It's the same thing. You don't have to do it on the internet. You could do it in your community. But the downside to this, because we got to talk about the downside, is if your axis is rigid, let's say you don't have a strong axis and your axis is rigid. For example, conspiracy, like in a toxic way, because conspiracies are real, but let's say you're just thralled into this like toxic level of conspiracy, and you're in this toxic echo chamber of just validating every one of your fears. Your reality will start to warp. And if you don't believe me, I'll bring up some examples. You guys remember QAnon? People's reality, that was a whole thing. It was kind of weird, but the way people were talking about it, it became a massive, like, toxic echo chamber. And I know some of you are going to say flat earth, but we won't go there. Or just doom scrolling. Doom scrolling to me is like a toxic echo chamber. So instead of having my center like in my temple or in my work or in the radio show or what I love to do, what I love to create, what makes my heart sing, I personally, when my Axis Monday becomes rigid and I get all out of balance and I'm doom scrolling. I was with Bryce the other night and I was just watching people like, I don't know, shoot themselves. Why am I watching this? Why am I watching people hurt themselves? I became addicted to videos. And then, just like the algorithm's like, oh, he wants to keep watching videos like this. And then it just started showing me more fearful and scarier videos. And it just kept giving them to me. And I was like addicted. I was lost into this thing. And I lost my way out of my creative center, my will. And we do this in all kinds of ways. And then later on, we're like, damn universe or damn government or my parents or whoever. And it's really, we got off our will center. If, hopefully, the doom scroll is insanely toxic. Yeah, it is, right? I do it all the time. I get caught doing it all the freaking time, actually. So what we need, when we become aware, then we can go, oh, okay. So am I creating from my heart center? Like, am I making decisions in love? Am I doing what I love? Am I creating from this sacred space that's mine and mine alone? Remember that, yours and yours alone. I'll get into that later. Yours and yours alone. Am I doing this for myself? That's the best way to love yourself, is to take care of that Axis Monday that's yours, right? Or am I creating bubbles of echo chambers by picking the wrong center? like doom scrolling, And that's a question you should ask yourself, is like, has my axis ever shifted? And what made me rethink that? Because I've been so lost in it, man. I've been like a zombie for hours at a time. I remember one day I actually wrote everything I wanted to do on paper. I do the Robert Monroe 3-column thing every day, and I had it right in front of my computer. All right, this column I won't worry about because I can't do nothing about that. I'm going to do this today, and the rest of this I have to do today. It's perfect. Then I got on my phone. The next thing you know, it was 3 hours later. 3 hours later. Then I got anxiety because I wasn't doing what I should have done. Then I started beating myself up. Then another hour passed. What am I manifesting here? What am I doing? Then I start beating myself up again. So keep in mind that there's your individual Axis Monday, and then there's the collective. Your community would be a small collective, or I guess what you could say, like what William Buhlman talks about, a consensus reality or a consensus Axis Monday. So let's say if you go to church and everybody's in church and they're all worshiping Jesus and singing songs about Jesus and loving each other, doing the church thing, that's a collective Axis Monday around the ideas of Christ. And if you ever notice, because I used to go to church all the time, when you go to church and you talk to everybody, you get that feeling, you start feeling everybody's energy. You start looking at the world in a different way. And if you don't go back to church, you'll lose that. It feels good. I'm telling you, it's natural. People go to these places, and this is why I don't think it's right to judge people like their religions or whatever their sacred space is to them. I mean, that's the world that they create from. And it's a beautiful thing. Whatever they call their higher self, if they call it God, Jesus, Muhammad, the Matrix, what is it? The Grand Architect, whatever they call it. If it's sacred to them, if it makes them feel love, if it makes them happy and they're not hurting anybody and they make other people happy too along with it, or what? You should applaud that, I think. So, what's the collective Axis Monday of 2025? You remember yesterday I said, hey man, a lot of people have come to me and they've said that I don't feel the magic anymore. I don't feel the mysticism anymore. I don't feel like we're in this magic revolution. Before we were manifesting everything, and now it just feels dead or Twilight Zone-y. Well, you have to take into account, and I don't want to say this too much because then people will think that has power over them. It really doesn't, but it does affect you. Okay? This is why it's cool to do banishings every day and middle pillar stuff every single day. Because the collective Axis Monday is a real thing. So everybody's little worlds, their beliefs, what they take in and all that stuff. And, this goes into energy protection and all that stuff too. But no matter how much energy protecting you're doing, if you're doing it 4 times a day or whatever you think you got to do, you're still a part of the collective, and you always will be. So if the collective becomes fearful, or they are all focused on AI or Trump or whatever, then that's going to affect your reality. And so this is why it's important for you to have a very solid Axis Monday or sacred space for you. Think of it like your little spaceship that you go to. You could treat it like a video game if you want, but it's your sacred space. It's a little spaceship that you go to meditate and create your world regardless. And the collective is outside throwing rocks at it, but you got your shell. Now, eventually, you got to move in this world where it's all throwing rocks or whatever, but could be rainbows depending on what's happening. But my point is what do you think the collective Axis Monday of 2025 is? Is it AI? Is it climate change? Is it Trump? It's crazy to think that, but once you really study the stuff, you can. I would say study like Carl Jung, Robert Moore. Any of traditional magic books, or just go to Wikipedia and look up Axis Mundi and then type in Axis Mundi holographic universe. You can even type in manifestation, and you'll start to see how there's an actual collective one, right? So what's the collective Axis Mundi of 2025? Maybe it's the metaverse. Maybe, there's a backlash to tech with off-grid living. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But if I had to pick one that the collective is involved with right now, that's what I think. I think it would be. I think it would be our Axis Mundi right now is revealing the truth of all of the lies and deception that have been going on for a long time. And we're just finally starting to see some of the truth. And Trump's a big part of that, I guess. Or Elon Musk or whatever. But you don't have to... I would say that's the collective, at least where I'm at in the United States. I don't know what's going on in China and Australia, but that's what's going on here. That's what everybody's talking about. The JFK files, the UFO stuff, right? The fraud that's happening in our government, the lies and P. Diddy and all these lies that are like coming to roost finally. And this is a good thing, actually. This is what I talked about before, like truth. No matter how much you manipulate, try to control things or whatever, truth is like this lingering thing that's always there, and you can't run and hide from it. You can try to do manipulation and damage control for the rest of your life if you want to control and manipulate people and things, but eventually that truth is going to come to roost. So we're all really understanding it's much more freer to be honest, far more free and authentic, right? Can we share an Axis Mundi anymore? Are we too divided? I think we are. Is this whole tech, that's just my opinion, is this whole tech world going to help us mystically and magically, or is it just more louder like bullshit? If society picked one center in 2025, do you think, for the rest of this year, what do you think our collective axis should be? Because after a while, once you start doing your own work, you're like, okay, I'm a spiritual person. I'm manifesting stuff into my life. I understand how all this works. I love exploring consciousness. Now I have to go and be a person in society. Now that I understand there's this collective Axis Mundi, there's this collective consciousness too. If we picked one center in 2025, what would it be, you think? Let's see. There's weird-ass people in this world. I'm freaking out. Yeah. There are some weird people in the world, for sure. What's up, Ballistic Zero? I'd rather be here than at March Madness. Me too, but I kind of like to see who's going to do the upsets, honestly. I don't even watch basketball that much, but that's the time at the end of the basketball season when the teams that's not supposed to win goes in there and upsets everybody, and it's awesome. MJ says, your sacred space helps you center. Absolutely. We love you, Joe. I love you too, man. Hate, prejudice, corruption. Yeah, it does feel like that. It should be peace and recovery. That's what I'm thinking. Let the truth come out. Let justice do its thing. Matter of fact, you know how I'm doing the tarot series, and I'm about to do the justice card, and I think it's perfect for this time. And it's not, divine justice, bring them. It's just, there is a energy, like a natural energy in the world, this active and passive flow of justice that's always happening inside of everything. So I totally agree. Now, if what the previous person, I think, really is who it is that, yeah. So I think when they're asking, hey, can you do stuff about manifestation? Yeah. But what I learned through all of my manifesting years, practicing ceremonial magic, or just manifesting stuff with sigil magic, or just tapping into like the secret version of manifestation, or looking at philosophy books or whatever, no matter which method of like manifestation that I'm doing, I've learned that if I get off center from this Axis Mundi that I know, my sacred space that's mine. And I'll get a little personal with you, okay? So, I don't know about you, but I'm hoping this explains it more. In my astrological chart makeup, I have to really be balanced for things to work in my life. And so that's why I talk about it so much. It's more of a projection than me trying to teach somebody something. It's just stuff I'm going through. I've got all this Libra energy in all the wrong and right places to make sure that I'm balanced all the time, doing the right thing, trying to be right by people, whatever. Karma works, okay? But anyways, so when things are going really good for me, or when I feel like I'm on my center, or when things are like the inertia of life is going really good for me, it's not because I'm out there manifesting, but I am manifesting things in my life through this contact with the higher self that I do every single day. I have to do this every single day without question. I'm not saying you have to, but I do. And for me, that's probably 20 or 30 minutes a day. Breathing, learning how to relax. I think it's super important. Breathing exercises are important. Relaxation, focus, then a ceremony or a prayer based around whatever I'm doing, whether it's energy work, whether it's giving thanks, or actually trying to manifest something, or just touching base with my higher self, right? Every single day. And if I do that, no matter, it seems like as long as I do that and I do what I love and I'm trying my best and I'm staying focused on every task that I do and I'm trying to be balanced in that middle column, things go really well for me. As a matter of fact, a lot of things that just look like coincidence, they're not really coincidence. It's like, oh man, I'm on my path. Things are flowing. And then when something happens in my life, and hopefully you can relate, I don't know, but it just feels like nothing's flowing, nothing's going right, or I got bad luck, or I feel Twilight Zone-y or whatever. It's because I walked away from it, or I forgot to do it for a few days, or I haven't checked in. And it's not like your higher self is there whipping you going, see what happens when you don't talk to me? This is your fault. It's not like that. It's just nature. It's just like who we are. Like if I pull this image up again, okay, imagine that there's this metaphysical thing that you can't see. Okay, so there's this axis that you are, your very being. And there's these spheres. Okay, the closer the sphere, the closer it is to you and your aura. And the further out it goes, like you're trying to extend your world into other people's worlds. And then when other people's spheres come in, then it gets a little collective. But that center, that axis that you're on is who you are. That's like, it's natural. It's almost as natural as your breath. So when you live a life like you don't have this, you don't have this center, you don't have these spheres, when you live as if this doesn't exist, then life seems chaotic. It seems like bad things happen to you. It seems like you can't manifest anything. But when you become aware of this, and those centers, I'm not talking about chakras per se, but just the idea of the Axis Mundi and what's going on here. When you become aware of this and you treat it as such, oh, I have this sacred space, or I need to tap into it. This is why a lot of people do ceremony, because they tap into this idea. When you treat your life as, I have this, I have organs, I've got lungs, I've got this center, this energetic metaphysical center I've got to take care of. Then manifestation and whatever you want. Actually, it's more not really about what you want. It's like who you are becomes so much easier. Right. So, I mean, other than just getting into the manifestation side of things, I like talking about manifestation too, but I just don't think it works without understanding this. It doesn't work the right way. Or I might manifest something that I think I want, And then I'm off center. I don't even know myself well enough to know what I want to manifest. That's another question you should ask, is like, how well do you know yourself? Most people above the age of 30, right, they're going to say, man, I know who I am. I know what I want. I'm real confident about it. Like, but if you're paying attention, there's always something new you find out about yourself every 6, 7 months, year. Something deeper you find out about yourself. And then you're like, oh, no wonder that happened to me. So if you can really get down to the center of who you are, what you want, like, who is this higher self, then it becomes much easier to manifest anything. But that goes back to the show that we did last night. Like, if you're in this axis, or if you're in this world where the tail side of the coin is more practical, and you're in that reality in the holographic universe, then it's going to be harder to manifest good things in your life, because you don't believe in your core, or know in your core that good is practical. Does that make sense? Like, people think bad is practical. Well, just like I was talking about yesterday. Oh, it can't get worse than this. And people go, oh, yeah, it can. Like, they know that down to their core, right? Therefore, it's practical. Well, people aren't really that way. You have to be more practical. Most people are selfish. Most people are self-centered. Most people don't love. No. You hear all this stuff. Is that really true? Or is that your experience? And then other people have had the same experience, and they talk about it, and now that's real. But if I say, no, man, people are loving. Most of the people want love, and they want to love, and they just want to have good things in their life, but they also want to be comfortable, and they want to be loved. They want to be emotionally and physically safe and taken care of, and they want to do that for other people. And that's the real world, and it could be as good as you want it to be. It could be like a utopia. You don't know that in your center. You don't have that in your axis. That's not even practical to a lot of people. But there are realities where that's more of a reality than what you're experiencing now. This gets into like the whole holographic universe thing, which we might have to talk about later, because we're just chewing through time. But no, we'll still talk about it. So remember, like, the Axis Mundi isn't just ancient lore. It's how we anchor and shape our realities. Before we want to go get that job, or get that car, or have that perfect relationship, or manifest a trip to Fiji, or whatever. Like, if we're not in our center or our core, it makes it a little harder. Or we might manifest those things, but then it gets sprinkled with shit for some reason. And I'm not saying this is hard. It's not really that hard. It's like riding a bike. Just don't forget about it. If you treated your Axis Mundi, your will, your center, that column where you connect to your higher self, if you treated that like you treated your teeth, hopefully you brush your teeth every day. I hope so. But let's say you treated it like your personal hygiene. It's just something that you do, something you have to do. Then manifesting that perfect trip to Fiji, that whatever you want to manifest, isn't magical at all. It's just natural. It just comes natural to you. So it's not just ancient lore. It's how we anchor and shape our realities every day. In 2025, it's more personal and more contested than ever, I think. And I don't like to get fearful on the show. I don't like talking about fearful things. It's not really fear. It's more of just an awareness. Right now, I'm surrounded by computer screens and a phone and a TV on that end. And there's two sides to it. There's a lot of truth coming through, but there's also a lot of bullshit, a lot of videos and things that aren't real, and algorithms that are surrounded that just want to even my browser. I mean, I was talking to my son about Skate 3 yesterday. Something popped up, Skate 3, whatever. Like, we have and we know how the mainstream media is. And now all the social media places like Facebook, not Twitter, but Facebook, I would say YouTube, and other people are like, oh, no, we didn't censor you. We actually, I think Ricky Varandas, they started putting videos back onto his account. So now that the truth is coming out, and we don't have to worry about being censored so much, right? they're kind of it's just like the way the universe does. Now we're manifesting our truth. So that's kind of a good thing. But I still am worried about how our natural, like the natural axis mundi that we have inside of us all, that natural column is being contested. So I'll give you some examples. So when neurologists speak about all of this stuff that happens to us, like love is nothing but oxytocin and dopamine. Well, what do you mean? Like, if that's not love, that's just pleasure. Love has a deeper thing. But no, it's just oxytocin. And there's millions of people following that. Or AI that's giving us videos that aren't even real. It's not even real. It's just something created. Or the doom scrolling thing that I was telling you about. Like, that is the downside, I think, to tech, is that it is creating our realities for us. It's kind of trying to create this fear, and it's really not its fault. It's not like it's evil. It just responds to us, and it's the same thing the higher self does. And this is why when people say, man, I put my phone down, I got off the computer, I don't watch TV, and I went in nature, and they started getting back into line with who they are, that axis mundi, that sphere, that column, that connection from self to Godhead, and they got in alignment with whatever they're doing, they just started feeling better. Things started happening for them. So what I'm trying to tell you is yes, action is great. You have to take action to manifest things. You have to. You're not going to manifest nothing without taking action. But first, you want to be centered. It's like you don't want to go, I hate to even use this analogy, but you don't want to go into war without a gun, right? You don't want to go into the cold woods without a coat. So if someone else or some other thing has got your center off, and even that communication with the higher self and all this stuff, this natural part of you is off, and you're out trying to manifest or chase dreams or figure out what you want to do with your life or whatever, it's going to be chaotic. But it doesn't mean it also doesn't mean, though, just sit around until you feel perfect. And then I'll move. Like, no, what I mean is just take some time to align with yourself and then move. This is how we anchor and shape our realities every day. It's more personal now in 2025. It's more contested in 2025 than ever. Your world spins around something. So you have to ask yourself, what's at the center? All the time. And I like to hear what yours is. I'd like to see where your world takes you next. I really think that there's a lot of us that are looking for guidance from other people to tell us, what is my world? Tell me what my world is, then I'll make a move. And I'm telling you, it's already there. Like, it's already inside you, Peace and recovery, right? Or they turn on and off. It's tough to stay balanced. Yeah. Yeah. So I stumbled upon this book today that I can't believe. I thought I read all of Stephen Ash's books, all of them. But this one, From Golden Dawn Magic to Holographic Universe Theory by Stephen Ash. Fascinating stuff, man. If you get into Golden Dawn Magic, I'm not saying do it, but just read it and see how they're tapping into how the magicians learned to connect with their higher self, to God, to all this stuff, how they learned to do it, and what it's really about before you judge it. Like, read one of these books from front to back. It's fascinating stuff, man. So he goes on to say the magic of the Order of the Golden Dawn and how it was organized and applied at the time of the Order's origin, which was in 1888, speaks much about the cultural hierarchies of the Victorian era. Essentially, Gnostic Christian, the Golden Dawn system drew upon a wide variety of esoteric sources in an attempt. Remember, they brought in all these egregoric systems and made one system out of it, right? So it was an attempt to unify the symbols of the world's ancient religions around the mechanism of the tree of life and the Hermetic Kabbalah. They created a whole system based on that, influenced by the Renaissance era, some interpretations of the Old Testament, mystical lore, and the Neoplatonic concepts believed to underline the classical myths. So the Golden Dawn evolved a combination of the mysteries of Pythagoras and the Lurianic Kabbalah? I don't know what that means, but I know what the mysteries of Pythagoras is. So they use symbols and rituals towards a variety of purposes. So one instance of this was a quasi-Masonic style ritual initiation in the form of organized ceremonies where you wore robes and regalia intended to overwhelm the rational mind with colorful archetypes. There's that word again, archetypes, and seeking to awaken discrete qualities of consciousness through this experience. This was an historically early attempt. This was back in the 1800s, late 1800s. So this was an early attempt to employ the psychology of ancient ritual practices preserved in ancient texts such as the Picatrix, things like that, towards the task of transforming the personal psychology of the individual. Hello. It's not, I need a little button that goes Expelliarmus. It's not crazy magic. This is all this was, right? I'm not saying it's all psychological either. Don't go there. But we're talking about energy, man. We're talking about the metaphysical world. So the pursuits of magic, religion, mathematics, engineering, and song have been with us since we stepped out of the survivalist immediacy of the present moment to organize ourselves socially. Magic has been with us for the longest time of all, before we psychologically understood and become inspired to move into artistic or scientific descriptions. We have to pass through the stage of mythic fascination and awe. Magic is rooted in awe, and therefore its dangers are glamour and deception. Also, I would say this too, like once you really see how it works and you start transforming you and your life, part of that deception is ego inflation. There's nothing crazier to me than watching someone's ego blow up once they start manifesting stuff. And I don't think it's bad. It's just nature. It happens. Especially if it's like the first time you've done it in your life. I did it. Well, I'm living my dream. I'm manifesting stuff. I know things people don't. Let me teach you how to do all this stuff. And you start thinking you're special in a sense. Because people are treating you like you're special. People look up to me. People, whatever, you start thinking this stuff, and it's okay. There's probably a little truth to it, but these people are still just you. That you're not here and they're there. That's bullshit. It's just different levels of awareness. All they have to do is turn on a switch and they're right there with you. You ever heard people say that? Man, you're on my level. What do you mean? Am I on your frequency, or were you up here and now I went up here to meet you? That kind of happens in magic too, ego inflation. Israel Regardie warned about that, by the way. So its dangers are glamour and deception too, for sure. So belief in magic is how we instinctively began to classify the unknown, and any study of its pursuit reveals much about elementary human psychology. And I would totally agree with him on that. I can't believe I found this book. I think I should read this whole thing and then kind of do a summary for you guys. What do you think? Because or just go read this yourself and then we can talk about it together. Like this Stephen Ash to me was one of the greatest magicians that ever lived, actually. I hate that he passed away, damn it. I want to talk about this too, but I'm not prepared to talk about it yet. The holographic universe. I'm going to do a much better broadcast where I can really put this together and maybe get some slides and stuff and talk about talk about the Axis Mundi, the holographic universe, this sphere, what it's been called, and all different religions and spiritualities and all different scientific stuff, so that you can see the parallel of it and how it can help you explore consciousness and manifest stuff too. What's up, Dan? Use tech for good, not evil. Tech can connect us. Tech can unfold mysteries. Tech brought me here to, that's the thing about it. We created it. This is what we always do. We create something and then we get mad at it because it has power. And that's how much power we have. That's what unaware people do. They create things based on their needs and what they want in their heart. And then once that egregore becomes manifested and it becomes real, and they see how powerful it is, then they get scared of it. We do that we did that with people. We would shoot people because they'd become too powerful. Everybody be talking about these ideas of grandeur and love and honesty and authenticity, and here Christ comes along. It's like, you can't be real. You're a blasphemer, whatever. And then they kill him. And then when he stays authentic, he stays who he is in his Axis Mundi, in his center. He has a little fear here and there. He's human. And he's in human form, but then he dies, and then we go, oh man, he was God in the flesh. Well, yeah, I love him. You killed him, but I love him. We do that to everything because we don't think we have any power. So we're unconsciously creating things and bringing things to us, bringing things into the earth. And then when we see how powerful our creations are, we get afraid of them. We start thinking we're down here and it's up there or something. It's just human nature. First we love, and then we hate, and then we destroy what we loved, and then after we see that thing that we loved, it doesn't even fear death or whatever, then we don't hate it anymore, then we love it again, then we make a religion out of it. Or this time I think we should take AI, tech, whatever you want to call it, use it for what we created it for, and just keep it that way. Don't be afraid of it. Don't start thinking about Skynet. Like, be conscious about it. Don't let that happen. And then just use it so that you can focus on creating more, because that's what you're here to do. I mean, whatever that is, man. Like, to me, if anybody alive isn't creating something that from their heart, something they really want to create, whether they're making money with it, whatever, I hope you are, but at least you're creating something. That's the saddest thing to me in the world. You ever talk to somebody and they're like, man, I really want to do this. And you're like, why aren't you doing it? And you'll hear what they say. Well, I got this and this and it's a lot of excuses, but you'll hear a lot of assholes point their fingers and say, that's just excuses. And yeah, it is excuses. But what you should do is just speak to that person. Like, why are you afraid of it? Like, tell me about your fear. Because remember, love and fear is a thin line. When people really love something, it brings out the fear. The fear has to be healed. You're not going to heal fear by pointing your finger at it and saying, that's pathetic. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to help anybody create anything or get that Axis Mundi or that center by being judgmental or putting yourself above them. Like, maybe we should focus on, being more empathetic towards people in those scenarios. There's a time for that, to be an asshole when it's time, but that's not the time. Be more empathetic and say, what are you afraid of? Like, tell me why you're afraid. And then when they tell you, if they finally get vulnerable enough to tell you, I understand that. And then maybe you can help them go through that fear. Because the first time, I got to tell you, man, the first time I did a podcast and I was talking into the void, literally, like, to nobody. Like what I'm doing now, but there was nobody listening. Not even downloads on the podcast. Nothing. So you're literally talking into the void. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I was so freaking scared. But someone helped me along the way. Someone talked to me about that fear. And I read books. I think I read Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art. And I know I talked to a friend of mine too. A friend of mine was like, man, you got this. This is what you were born to do, whatever. You got a great voice. They just kept propping me up, helping me. It's like I was telling Sudi the other night, man, if you could just let Sudi go, there's a whole lot of stuff in that brain that needs to get out that's inside of her. And I, like you said, Dan, we created this thing so that we could do this. So do it. And another thing that I hear too from people is like, oh man, everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got a show. Yeah. So there's enough to go around. So, that comes from the tail side of the coin. It's just like money, right? When you go to a market and people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. The market's flooded with it. Yeah. So go get your piece of the pie. It's a big pie. Well, everybody's doing that. I don't want to do that. But what do you want to do? See, if you have like an abundant mindset, kind of like Christ did, he's like, why are you worried? God feeds the birds. He does all this stuff. You don't see the birds like going, oh man, just, treating everything in the world like they're going to lose it. There is a time for that. There's a season to, harvest. But his point is there's enough love and abundance to go around for everybody. You don't have to have 100,000 followers on your YouTube channel to find your community or to even like get support and make a living doing what you don't have to have that anymore. There's enough to go around, and we all know this by now. If you go to doge.gov, you can see plenty of money going around that's just like disappearing. There's enough content, channels. There is enough to go around for everybody to have their own thing, to have their own access. If you want to create content, that is. If you want to write a book, you want to do a podcast, you want to do a YouTube channel, or you're thinking about streaming, or you're thinking about, we created these machines so that we can do it. And yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm going to go on a rant, but I'm totally with you. We create all kinds of things, and then we become afraid of them all the time. I don't think we're doing that to people anymore, but that could happen again. I just hope we stop doing that. I really hope we don't do that anymore. But if you are like me and you like to study like how things work and really go into the void and into the depth of things, that's what we do. First, we love a thing, then we really love it, and that because that thing, whatever it is, or that person, is so authentic, so godlike, childlike. And then we see, oh, that thing is so really authentic. Then it starts to scare us. This can't be real. Then we become afraid of it. And we kill it, destroy it. And if it was a person, once that person faces death authentically, naturally, I don't know why I'm getting emotional talking about that. Once they face that, and that's the whole concept of being reborn again, being born again. So when you hear about people doing ceremonies to be born again and it's evil, it's not evil. It's just a symbol of that process, right? We all have to face death, like life is temporary. You'll drive down the road, you'll see all kinds of dead things. You'll even see dead animals on the side of the road. Think about that. Life is a beautiful thing, but it's going to end. And that's nature. That's how it works. So who you are is not this physical body. And so when you authenticate, despite everything in the world, everybody coming against you or nothing working out for you, and you have courage enough to do that, face down death, then you'll know what true love is, and you'll never be afraid to create a thing. You'll never let anybody else or anything outside of you ever again keep you from doing what you love. And yeah, you're right in your center of your Access Monday, and yeah, it might scare some people. Yeah, it might ruffle some feathers, but you'll also find the vibration of the people that are, quote, on your level. It's really a frequency, but on your level will begin to come to you, and you'll begin to come to them. And it'll be like a big sigh of relief. And I feel that way with you guys, especially even especially the people that have been here since the beginning. Like, I don't talk about you guys enough, but have been here for years. But I love all of you. Truly, like within my heart. It's not a marketing scheme. It's not me just saying that so you'll keep coming or build my YouTube channel. I really love you. I know you might find that hard to believe, but it's true. I'm a softie. I just have this like resting bitch face thing. I'm a true softie. And if I didn't face that fear, I don't think I would have ever, hell, I don't even know what my life would be like right now. And wouldn't you rather manifest from that place than a place of not knowing who you are? Not knowing anything about you because you let the fear take over because you never created, you never even tried. No judgment if you hadn't. I understand how intense fear can be. You know, but there's a lot of freedom on the other side of it. All right. Starting to get too sappy. Definitely. That's the thing. It's like the older I get, the more I realize, yeah, you know, I'm a softie in the middle. I'm real soft in the middle. I don't even do that whole thing anymore. Like, I'm 43 now. Do you know that whole like thing every time as a guy you start to get emotional about anything and you start going, oh, am I man enough? Maybe I'm not. Like, once you get to a certain age, you just start letting that go. You're like, no, I'm not. You know, I can do all the stuff men can do. I've done it my whole life. Like, I think I'm just getting older. What's up, Dave? Did I say what's up, Doggy? What's up, man? I forget to say hi to some people that say hi. I feel bad. All right, so tomorrow night, Mary Ducina is going to be on the broadcast. We're going to do the New Moon show. She's going to tap into her intuitive psychic abilities. We all possess that, by the way. She's just really good at it. And we'll take your phone calls. She'll talk about what's going on in the cosmos. We've been doing that for like 5 years. I look forward to each and every one of those shows. And so this week, we're doing 4 shows. This week, we'll do one tomorrow night, and Mary will be here. It's going to be a blast. And for all of you that took like just a little time to out of your March Madness basketball game to stop in and say, hey, thank you. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for traveling the void with me. I love each and every one of you. Like I said before, see you guys tomorrow night. Night, night, sweet dreams.